Hey guys, just before we get you to this live, Confessions is out on Amazon. To order your copy, head to shaw.b/confessions book, and let's get you to this live.
Hey everyone, it's Adrian from the Pageant Project with you again. I know I just got off live about 20 minutes ago. Our special guest for today is Brittany Mason, who is, you're a lot of things, Brittany. So first off, welcome to the show. Secondly, do you want to tell everyone everything you do? Because there's quite a long list.
Oh my goodness. Well, what I have done, or, what I'm doing now, what I'm currently working on.
Why don't we do let's go with what you're doing now, and then I'll go cycle back to how it all began. So everything you're doing as of right this moment, because it's a lot.
Okay. Well, right now I launched, in 2017, I launched Moxie Media Productions in Ireland and took over the license for Miss Universe Ireland and started producing the show for Ireland. I built the brand there. It was absolutely incredible. And my first two girls made the top 15 back to back, Colleen Onionitovine and Grania Galina. And then our third queen, Fanula O'Reilly, she was our first woman of color and to represent Ireland. So we had another historical moment as well. So all my first 3 years in Ireland, we made history. I'm very, very proud of that. And now we're so excited to have our first redhead, Nadia Sayers, that we just crowned in December. Then also we had huge news this year for 2021, super exciting, returning to my home state where I grew up, in the state that I represented as well during my pageant days, because I'm a former pageant girl as well. Miss Indiana USA and Miss Indiana Teen USA. My team is the new directors for that as well, and we are producing the show, which makes us the first and only production team in the pageant arena that will send a delegate to Miss Universe, Miss USA, and Miss Teen USA every year.
Wow. Okay. So that's setting the bar pretty high. Can you tell us, you mentioned that you obviously have pageant experience yourself, and we'll get to that. But in terms of directorship, how did you get into directorship?
Well, my career really started from pageantry. I'm a small town girl from a little farm in Indiana, and I started as a teen, and it really changed my life. It launched my career. I ended up having a really amazing career in fashion and entertainment. I lived in New York. I lived in, China. I worked in Greece. I worked in lived in LA. It was amazing. It totally opened up a whole world for me. But over so many years of doing that, about a decade, I was like, okay, I'm ready to have more control and more creativity. And I'm a very creative person. I wanted more of an outlet. And I also saw a lot of things that I wanted to see changed in the industry. And I felt that after being on one side of the camera, I really felt that I could, bring a new aspect to the industry. And so I started working on different projects while I was living in LA, just trying to get the experience of working behind the camera and coming up with creative concepts and just going out there and, trying it, just anything I could come up with. And then I ended up moving to Ireland. And while I was in Ireland, I ended up taking some courses in film production and fashion design and just exploring, where exactly I wanted to go on the production side. And it just really felt right to me. Being a director and really having that overall influence. And because there's so many things that I am interested in, it's hard for me to pick just one. So being a director and for Miss Universe, it really just, it allows me to use all of those skills and to be able to, go in different areas that I'm interested in. And when I moved to Ireland, also there was no Miss Universe Ireland. I could not believe it. No Miss Universe Ireland. And so,
oh, wow.
Yeah. no Miss Universe Ireland. I just couldn't believe it. So I ended up contacting the organization, and because I have a relationship with them when I was a representative as Miss Indiana USA, I ended up applying. It was a long process, and I ended up getting it. So that's where we are today.
And how did you end up traveling to Ireland? What was it? Did you say, was it for study, or do you have a particular connection to Ireland?
I fell in love. So I followed my heart.
Okay, that's fair enough.
That was the first time I moved for love and not work. So, but then work kept me there. So it was fantastic.
What would you say is the thing that sets Ireland apart in terms of its people? I know the Miss Universe Ireland girls, a lot of them talked about how much they loved Ireland and why. For yourself, being more of an outsider, although obviously you've lived there now, what is it about the Irish people that you think you'd most want to tell people outside of Ireland?
Well, I know it does sound so cliche because anyone who's lived in Ireland or is Irish will say this, but it's definitely the people, how warm and friendly the people are. It's just a country that has so much culture, and the history and the richness of that culture, it is just fascinating. And so living there and spending, 5 years there, learning about their history and the people and what they've been through, what they fought through, and it's really been so rewarding.
And when do you plan to next pay Ireland a visit?
Oh my gosh, that is such a difficult question since this pandemic has been going on. I cannot believe it's been this long since I've been there. I haven't been to my apartment in Ireland in a year almost. Yeah. So I was there literally right before the borders were closed in the United States for the pandemic. I just made it in. And I've been wanting to go over there. It's just now with the launch of Miss Indiana USA, Miss Indiana Teen USA, I also need to be in the United States as well. So it's been a difficult decision, but thank God we have this amazing technology that we can host virtual competitions now. And this year has most definitely challenged us to be innovative and find new ways to work. And, we live in a very, technological modern world now, and there's all different ways that we can work around this. And I think that's what most people are finding.
I mean, you mentioned the technology, and I think you guys, as in Miss Universe Ireland, did an absolutely amazing job of not just holding the pageant, because that's one thing, but actually giving the girls an experience that they still enjoyed, even though it's very different to an in-person pageant.
Yeah.
But they really, really enjoyed it. How much planning, just to get an idea, how much planning or learning was it for you to offer the girls, to create that experience for the girls? I mean, you've obviously done it in person before. How much of a challenge was it for you to try and give them something approximating that online when you weren't even in the country?
Every day was a challenge, and every single day the show and the experience was changing because, the girls, it means so much to me to give them a great experience. I want everyone that comes through this competition to get something out of it and to gain something out of it, to learn more about themselves, to become better, and to learn life skills that they can apply for success in any area of their life, personally and professionally. And so, for a long time, we wanted to have a live show. We planned on having a live show. We kept pushing it back. And, we looked at different options, and a lot of different countries around the world were either appointing a winner or just crowning the first runner-up from the year before. And we really just wanted to give the Irish girls an opportunity, even if it didn't look conventional, even though it just didn't look the same, there's still so many things that could be gained from this experience. And so, that's what Moxie stands for, strength of character and determination, a courageous spirit and a humble heart. And so that is what we are all about. And we stepped up to the challenge. And so we said, we're going to figure this out. And, we were totally upfront with the contestants. We were like, we just have to roll with the punches. We have no idea what to expect this year. We're going to continue trying to push forward with as much as we can. And we came up with so many different concepts. I think I planned that show out at least 20 times, and it just kept changing. And, you know, every day I would try to come up with new assignments and stuff to keep them busy. They have been on lockdown since October. On lockdown. They're still on lockdown. And right now it's just been extended to March 5th. So we were not able to even get the girls in front of a cameraman. I wasn't even able to send a videographer to meet them in person. And it was very challenging. You know, and what was so frustrating is that we made the competition smaller this year. We only took 12 girls. Yeah. Typically we take 30. So we made it smaller, only 12. And we really thought that we were going to be able to work around the restrictions and have a show with the 12 girls. Right after we made the announcement for the top 12 finalists, literally 4 days later, they went into lockdown, and they've been in lockdown ever since. So it was challenging, but, you know, like I said, we worked through it. We came up with some really great assignments for them that really challenged them to, you know, for self-development. And it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Do you think, I mean, assuming that the next Miss Universe Ireland will be held in person, and that's an assumption at the moment because who knows what's happening, but fingers crossed it's in person. Is there anything that you would take from the online pageant this year and transfer that to the next in-person pageant?
Oh, absolutely. There were so many things that the girls, you know, I asked for their feedback, what they enjoyed, what they'd like to see different and everything. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm assuming that's a dog.
This is what we get when we work from home, my dog barking and people coming in and out. Sorry. So yes, there's a lot of different concepts that we developed this year that we want to utilize for years and so on with it. We asked for feedback with the girls, what they enjoyed, and a lot of the assignments, they were really focused on self-development and, you know, to learn more about themselves. And those assignments, I think, you know, I'd really like to utilize those for years to come.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, if I take you back a few minutes, you said that when you first entered, when you first picked up a directorship, there were some things that you wanted to change, some aspects you wanted to change. I wanted to interview you because from an outside perspective looking in, although I worked with the girls quite closely, it's rare for me, and it's rare for me to see a director who is so on task all the time. The girls know exactly what's happening. The girls know why they're doing things. They know what's expected of them, and they have someone who's both a cheerleader but also holding them accountable, wanting the best from them. And I got to say that's unusual. This is why I don't interview many directors. But what were some of the things that you wanted to? What were some of the aspects you wanted to change in pageantry?
Oh my goodness. Well, I really, you know, I didn't want the whole. There's so many misconceptions with pageantry. You know, and why the girls wear what they wear and the whole superficial aspect. And I really wanted to showcase the women and who they are, what they represent, what their passions are, and all of that, more so than the other side. I just think that there hasn't been enough of a showcase, you know, on that, you know, on that side. I'm sorry about the interruptions.
That's all good. Good. Don't believe when you work from home. Yeah, there's always things going on. Why do you think that side hasn't had that much exposure in pageantry? Let's say up until this point.
I think it's very hard to showcase that in a 2-hour show. I honestly would like to see the format of pageants change entirely. And I think actually this pandemic is forcing pageants to figure out a new way to operate. And I think there's a lot of good that's actually going to come out of this. I'm very optimistic about it, you know, about the future.
Very nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much that I wanted to showcase and change. And yes, number one was showcasing the ladies in an entirely different light.
Yeah, and absolutely you did that, and you managed to do that online, which is no small feat. As I said to you, I wanted to interview you because as a director, you really stood out to me. Do you know, what do you think sets you apart as a director, or what gives you that sort of added edge? Was it the fact that you competed previously? Is it something more personal to you in terms of you really want the best experience for the girls? What drives you to, because you could have done it a lot more easily, right? You could have phoned it in and not put in half the effort. Why did you go to that extra effort? And I can only imagine how much time it took to give the girls the best experience possible.
Well, like I said, I'm very passionate about this. It really changed my life. It helped me, develop skills that, allowed me to have a career and to, learn more about myself as a person and better myself. And my whole team is really passionate about that. Jay Scott, actually, he is our show producer. He helps a lot with the technical side of the production. Every year he does. And he's just phenomenal. And he was actually my mentor and my pageant coach when I was a young girl. And so I've kind of grown up with this amazing mentor / best friend. And, now running this business together, it's amazing. It really is an absolute dream come true. And I'm so grateful for it.
And
I just want to share that with other girls, and that opportunity with other, young women that are looking to, launch their career and better themselves. And this is the perfect way to do it, is to participate in a pageant.
With your team members, what values or what aspects, when you're picking someone to work with, because there's only so much you can do by yourself, what are the most important aspects to you in a team member?
In a team member, the most important, we need someone who really believes in the brand and the brand values. And that's what Moxie embodies, is, strong, confident women, leaders, women that have a courageous heart, who are dedicated to, personal development and being their best selves and lifting other women up to do the same as well. I really believe that this is a sisterhood. Yes, this is a competition, but, another girl's success does not take away from your own. And so we really should be supporting each other and lifting each other up. I believe that that's why women have been held back for so long, is because that whole mentality of that jealous mentality. And, I really like to shatter that. And I always, when I talk to my girls, I'm always, really emphasizing we need to support each other. Yes, one girl will win the opportunity to go to Miss Universe, but all of you represent Ireland. All of you have titles that you represent, and you should be so proud of making it that far and representing your county. So do it with pride.
I want to ask you about Moxie. You've mentioned it twice. I've seen the hashtags after a lot of the posts with Moxie, and I believe it's Moxie Mindset. So can you tell me a little bit more about Moxie, what it stands for, and how it came about?
So Moxie, the definition of Moxie is a courageous spirit and strength and determination. And it's something that I identify with so much in my life. I had to overcome a lot of adversity as a kid. And so, really had to pull myself up by the bootstraps. I was on my own basically at 16. And, so I had to really pull in a lot of inner strength at a very young age. And it's kind of an old fashioned word that you don't really hear used, but it's a word that my grandfather, who was someone I was actually very close with, he would use it, and he would use it to describe me. And so in about 2015, I kind of heard this word. I hadn't heard the word used in so long, and then I heard it used. I forget where or how, and I was just like, what is that? I love that word. What is that? I love that. And so I really looked it up, and then I was talking to an uncle of mine, and he said that your grandfather used to say that word describes you, that you have Moxie when you were really young. And I was like, what? Okay, I think there's something here. And it really just stuck with me. And I feel like that is who I am. I am someone who has Moxie, and I want to spread that message to other young women to empower them that it doesn't matter what obstacle comes your way. It doesn't matter what card you're dealt in life. How you step up and take control of your life, then you can achieve anything. Anything is possible.
Oh, can you hear me, Brittany?
I
Sorry, I dropped
can.
out
Did
for
you
a
cut
second.
out? Oh no. Sorry, the
I'm still here.
connection.
Yeah, it's technical issues all over the
Uh,
place. I think this time it was my side, but you were talking about Moxie.
oh no, did it cut out on the whole thing?
Oh no, just the last 5 or 10 seconds or so. I missed out on the last 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just sum it up. You know, I mean, Moxie is, it really just is I identify with it so much. It, you know, it means a leader. It means someone with a courageous, a brave heart, someone who doesn't give up ever. And I want to continue to spread that message to other young women, you know, to feel empowered and to pursue their dreams. No dream is too big or out of reach. If you work hard enough and with enough determination and self-belief, you can achieve anything.
Can we just talk about women's empowerment for a
Yes.
second? Because I get the feeling it's something that's hugely important to you.
Absolutely.
In terms of, I mean, you've worked with, by now, I don't know how many young women. Are there any sort of core issues that you see amongst the women that you work with that you feel are holding them back?
That are holding them back?
Yeah.
Core issues for women holding them back, number one, is confidence. Number one. I mean, that's always, you know, that's key. I think everyone struggles with that, male and female. You know, we all struggle with that from time to time. And you know, I haven't worked with new contestants in Indiana yet. I'm very excited to. But I'd say the girls in Ireland, that was number one, was confidence and being comfortable, being open, and being their true selves. I think that a lot of people, we put on a mask and we go on about our day and we show the world the person that, you know, we want to be, but a lot of us live in fear of being our true, authentic selves. And so that, I think that is what we encounter the most. And when I'm working with the girls, when I'm coaching them, everything that we do is to get to their core self. You know, how can we bring out their unique qualities that make them who they are, that make them truly beautiful, not on the outside, but from the inside, and to celebrate that authenticity and to celebrate what makes them so unique.
How do you help the girls that you work with? And I take your point that confidence is not just a female-centric issue. It's certainly an issue that everyone struggles with, I think, in different ways. When you're working with someone who has low confidence, or maybe their confidence isn't as high as it could be, how do you help them find that confidence? Is it through discovering who they are? Because I find very often, if I ask a girl who they think they are, they actually don't really know. How do you help a girl find out and discover who she is before she can go and show it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, that's part of the assignments, that a lot of the assignments we came up this year were highly focused on that. And so, like I said, those are the things I definitely want to continue doing and further focus on the self-development aspect that comes through pageantry. I mean, there's different ways to do it, but really challenging them and forcing them to get out of their comfort zone. I always like to start with movement. You know, you get your body moving and loosen them up, and breath work, and that can really relax someone, you know, and to, you know, get more to their true self in that way. And so it's really about, you know, finding their authenticity, what makes them unique, what sets them apart, and you know, celebrating that, and celebrating that, really, and flipping the script on the negative thoughts, because we're all guilty of it. And as soon as you can flip the script on those negative thoughts, I always say, if you have a negative thought, you should replace that negative thought with 2 positive ones. And if you're someone who has a lot of negative thoughts, you need to times that by 10. Just, you know, and visualization is so important as well.
Here's an interesting question. You've worked with the Irish girls a lot, obviously. You're from America yourself. I've kind of had this theory that, at least in Australia and the UK and Ireland, a lot of our culture is about it's about being the underdog and not talking about yourself a lot. So, for example, in Australia, we have tall poppy syndrome. That means if you get taller than the other poppies, we've got to cut you down. I know in Ireland and the UK girls, okay, for example, they always say sorry. If someone bumps a trolley into them, they say sorry. Whereas I've always seen that but I've always seen that the American girls tend to be much more comfortable talking about themselves and being proud about the things they've done. You talk about celebrating. I think there's maybe a core issue with the Aussies, with the UK girls and the Irish girls versus the American girls. Have you noticed anything similar to that? Like a cultural sort of Americans celebrate and us Brits and Aussies have to sort of, well, we don't want to talk about it too much.
Well, absolutely. I think when you're looking at America as a whole, that's definitely, the general feel. Yes. Yeah. I think there's pockets of America that's not like that. And Indiana is one of them. Indiana actually reminds me a lot of Ireland, a lot. Because if you do toot your own horn too much, people will tear you down. They will tear you right down. It really, that's the way, the environment that I had grown up in. It's very much like that. It reminded me of Ireland so much. So when I got to Ireland, I was surprised. I didn't realize like the culture was so much that way, but it really is. And that's definitely why I said that's the biggest challenge, is that confidence. And yeah, culturally in Ireland, it is a lot harder to get the girls to feel comfortable with just letting themselves be free and authentic to themselves, they're fearful. Yeah. That they'll be judged too much or embarrassed or, bullied and, attacked, that they have too big of a head. And so there is definitely a culture aspect to that. But once the girls have gone through the program, I mean, we've had just excellent feedback. They're so happy about it. And so many of our girls have gone on to do incredible things. I mean, Grania Galina, when I first started working with her, our 2018 queen, oh my goodness, she would break out in like hives. She was so nervous. And we had to really work with her a lot, but she broke those nerves, made top 15 at Miss Universe. And then she was on Dancing with the Stars, made it to finals at Dancing with the Stars. And now she's, she was the first Irish model to walk in Miami Swim Week. And she just launched this incredible career. And so I think that we really have to, it's so important to be confident with yourself. There's a balance, of course you don't want to be arrogant. There's a humbleness to it, but it's so important to be confident in yourself and to love yourself and to believe in your own abilities.
When you were working with Grania, was it a gradual process and you sort of saw her confidence building over time? Or was there a moment when something just hit and that was like threshold and then suddenly she became a different person?
With Grania specifically, it was definitely an evolution over time. Her nerves were she says this, and we had her come and talk to the girls, the contestants this year specifically about that, because it really is the biggest obstacle that contestants have. And so we had her come back and, speak to the girls about what it was like to fight through those nerves. And, she'll say it too. It was definitely an evolution for her and just really continuing to show up and to work. And, everyone is different and you have to find what works for you. She had a specific playlist of music where she would dance and she would sing before she had to go on stage, and that would really get her in the right mindset so she could go out there and be her best self. And so you have to find, the little things that work for you that'll keep you grounded and keep you centered before you perform.
Absolutely. And the music is a huge one, because all the girls, or the ones that I've worked with, have their go-to song or multiple go-to songs. So having that playlist that can sort of pump you up, definitely I think is underrated as a tip. But Brittany, can you tell me a little bit more about Indiana? Because I know nothing about Indiana specifically. I've never been there. I've been to the States, but not to Indiana. Can you tell us more about your home state?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Indiana, it's a great place. It has, it's known for, there's more than corn in Indiana. That's the city. There's a lot of cornfields and cows and farmland. And, it's like Farmers of America. But we also are, Indiana is also known for sports and, basketball. There's the Hoosiers and the Pacers, and, there's all these amazing football teams, Indianapolis Colts. We've got amazing basketball teams and, college teams that always end up doing very well. Butler, Indiana University always does well. We have the MotoGP racing. We've got the Indianapolis 500. We've got the Brickyard. There's so many great things about Indiana. And I'd say similar to Ireland, the best thing about Indiana is the people and the values of the people in Indiana. We like to call ourselves the most northern state. So we have that southern charm. We're just a little further north than the southern states.
Where do you think that comes from? That southern charm, that southern sort of, what would you call it, the hospitality? Where does that come from?
Yeah, I think, Indiana, there's a lot of farmers. There's a lot of people that have, there's just a lot of, local businesses. There's a lot of that and that community. And there's that real community aspect to it. A lot of small towns. I mean, the town that most of my family was in, Markville, 368 people. It's very small. It's a very small community. Yeah. Wow. Very small community. So, you have to look out for your neighbor, take care of your neighbor. And something that I've noticed, I have traveled and I've lived all over the world, and something I've noticed that is very unique to, my friends and from Indiana, specifically, or that area of America. Whenever you go out with your friends and you're leaving and saying goodbye, you always say, let me know when you make it home. Let me know when you make it home. Always. Because you always want to look out for them. You always want to know, hey, I made it home safe. That's it. And I've lived all over the world, and I just haven't had anyone do that anywhere else. I was just in Indiana last week, and I was visiting a friend, and we left. We were saying our goodbyes. And she said, okay, let me know when you get back, when you make it back. And I was like, oh, Lindsay, thank you so much for saying that. It makes me smile when I hear that, because I don't hear that other places. I don't hear that in Florida when I'm hanging out with a friend here. I don't hear that, when I lived in LA or New York, like, let me know when you make it home. It's just one of those things. You look out for each other and you have each other's back.
When you were saying 368, I was anticipating there was going to be 1,000 after that, as in 368,000. I didn't realize it was 368 people.
Yes.
I understand what you mean.
Mechanicsburg is even smaller. Mechanicsburg is right next to Markville. It's literally just one dirt road. Well, it might be paved now. I don't know. I haven't driven on it in years, but we'll see when I get back to Indiana.
I got to say, it sounds very small townish, but in a way that sounds very appealing. To kind of get away from the hustle and bustle of the big city. I mean, you mentioned LA, New York. I've been to both those places. I actually enjoyed New York a lot more than I thought I would. But I'm attracted to the idea of getting away from it all and just having some peace and quiet and some good old-fashioned hospitality.
I think this pandemic has changed a lot of things for people. And, I always dreamt of living in the big city and, living a fast-paced life and, having that high rise and living in New York and traveling the world. And I did it all. And I love it. And when things open up again, I will definitely be traveling again. But, there is absolutely something so special about, going back and being from a small town and getting connected to your roots. And, I was back last week. I have a goddaughter, and her mother was my best friend growing up. We've been best friends since we were 13, and we've seen each other through all of our stages of life. And so, going back and getting connected with them again, and, being able to connect with them again, it was so nice. It was so special. And, they're family. And when you have that small community, it really is like a family.
When you're on the road and traveling during more normal times, is there any aspect that you miss about being back in Indiana? Is there like one or two things that
The
would really
people.
make it feel like home? The
I
people?
mean, the people, definitely, of course, the people. I also love Indiana in the fall. In the fall, when all the leaves turn, it is so beautiful. And you go out to the country and, you see all the horses and the barns and the trees have just made all these different beautiful oranges and reds and beautiful, beautiful colors just in fields. And you just see it. It just never ends, never ends. And the sunsets during that time, it's incredible. Also, the Indianapolis 500, of course. I can't not mention the Indianapolis 500. It's the month of May. It's the best time to be in Indiana. The best.
Right. Okay. I mean, you're making this sound very, very appealing. So I think tourism in Indiana is about to,
Yes.
take an uptick.
Yes.
Brittany, I normally start interviews with this, but I'll ask you now. In terms of pageant history, how did you get involved in pageantry, the crazy world of pageantry, to begin with?
Oh my goodness. How did I get into the crazy world of pageantry? Well, I always knew I wanted to go into modeling. I also knew I wanted to be involved with charity and give back. That's always been very, very important to me. And I knew I wanted to travel and, live in New York, and I wanted to, get into acting. And I had so many of those interests. And I ended up signing with a modeling agency at 16, moved to New York, was living there in a model apartment, had my butt handed to me. It did not go well. It was during a time when the industry was very heroin chic, which is very, very thin, very, basically
Kate Moss.
And and I am naturally thin, but it was just, I could never be thin enough when I was at that time. And so I ended up being sent back home, and, I was homeschooling at the time, virtually, actually, which was one of the earliest programs to be done virtually back then. This is all the way in 2003. So, yes, a long time ago. But when I came home, I just felt so defeated. And I was like, I have to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to make a different life for myself. I'm going to make a new life for myself. And I got something in the mail, and this from a pageant. And I was like, wait a minute. If you win Miss Teen USA, you get an apartment in New York City, and you get school paid for, and you get acting school paid for, and you get these modeling opportunities, and you're on a salary, and so I said, well, oh my goodness. And you work with charities, and it had everything. It crossed off all the boxes. So I said, oh my goodness, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to go for it. It wasn't the Miss Teen USA competition that I had entered at that time. I entered a different competition. It was called Pageant Crown. At the time, it was actually Jay Scott, who is now my business partner. It was actually his. And so I ended up competing in his competition and won Teen Indiana for that system, and then ended up competing nationally. I won the national pageant, America's Southern Teen at the time, and with that came the title of Teen Model of the USA. It's a little confusing. There's a lot of titles. Teen Model of the USA. And then with that national title, I represented the United States at Teen Model of the World. This was 2004, so I was 17 at the time. It was the first time I traveled out of the country. I had never been on a plane. I had never been in a taxi or a train or seen anything. I mean, mind you, I was from a very small little farm town, hadn't had any experience like this. And all of a sudden, within just a few months, my entire life changed very quickly.
Yeah.
And I was, represented the United States at Top Model of the World in Germany at 17, and I finished in second place in the world competition. And that's when, my life changed forever.
I understand now why your grandfather said Moxie applies to you, because I mean, just to think that you're coming from a small town and had the moxie to go to New York at the age of 16, and then to, as you said, you felt defeated, but then to pick yourself back up, and then to find yourself in Germany at that age. I mean,
Yeah.
were those scary times? Were they exciting times? Was it a bit of both?
Oh my gosh, I had so much tenacity. I just was like, I don't care, I'm going for it. I was fearless. I was completely fearless. I mean, probably a bit reckless at times because I was so young and just on my own, but I mean, what
Yeah,
else was I going to do? I
yeah.
actually didn't, yeah, I had to go for it. And if anyone reads more about my story, online, some of the interviews and stuff I've done, I had a lot of adversity that I had to overcome. And so I just didn't really have a strong support system. For all of that, I really had to hustle and work for every single part of competing. I mean, I held a car wash. I went door to door to ask for donations. I sold candy bars. I did absolutely everything that I could to raise funding for the ability to have that opportunity. And then the dress that I wore, I bought from a thrift shop. It was a used like wedding dress, but it was kind of modern. And I sewed rhinestones on the top of it. And that was what I won in. It wasn't a crazy expensive dress. It was like $100 dress that was, from a thrift shop. And so you don't have to spend a lot of money. It's not about the dress. It's about the woman in the dress. It's about the girl in the dress. And so I knew what I wanted. I set those goals and I worked extremely hard on them until I achieved them.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you worked so hard that even if you had fears, they wouldn't have had time to come up because
Not
you
at
focused
all.
on doing what you had to do to make it happen, and you didn't sort of sit at home working yourself up into a state where you basically paralyzed yourself. The work ethic, I just want to pick that up because you talked about stereotypes and pageantry, and one of the giant ones is that there's no hard work. You just get a crown placed on your head. You're now going to become rich and famous, and you're forever done. Can you just speak to that a bit? Because I think that's really important, the work that goes into the crown.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a job. It really is. Being a representative, being a title holder, it is absolutely a job, and you get what you put in. So you get out of it what you put into it. And, so, I mean, there is so much, there's a lot of responsibility. You're representing a brand, you're representing yourself, you're representing a community. And so, you have to, there's so many things that you have to think about and with those responsibilities, and they're pretty heavy responsibilities. You have to always be on it. You never know. You have to always be prepared for anything that you could be asked. And at any given moment, or a job or an opportunity comes up in in an hour, you have to be ready. You have to go. You gotta go. Otherwise, you're gonna miss that opportunity. So you have to take those opportunities as they come. And that those experiences also taught me so much about goal setting and how to achieve those goals. And that's why I'm in it now, and why I want to continue sharing what I learned through those experiences.
Well, it's no wonder that your girls had such an amazing time, and I felt that you were so on it because you've lived that life. It's obviously not just something that you're talking about. You've lived it yourself. I have to ask you this as a director. So in your title holders, in your queens, what are the things, two-pronged question, what are the things that you most look for in someone who's going to represent your brand and their country? And what are the sort of the pet peeves? So the two questions, what do you look for? And because I'm sure everyone's got pet peeves.
Yes.
What are the pet peeves when it comes to title holders or pageant competitors in general?
I'm going to start with the negatives because I like to always end on positive.
Okay.
So pet peeves, I would say, is, people who don't put in the work, who don't take it, who don't show up. I think, our team, we are all very passionate about this. We put so much work into this. And there's a lot of people that are part of our team also that volunteer their time. I mean, a lot of us, we volunteer our time to these girls. We all make a lot of personal sacrifices to create these opportunities to help uplift these women. So I would say definitely, girls that really just don't take it seriously, they don't show up, and that's really disappointing. But it's a disservice more so to them, rather than us.
Yes.
It's a real disservice to themselves, because this is it is truly a life-changing opportunity if you really put yourself out there in that way. And I would say that I think being on time is very important as well. Being on time. So, and when I say on time, I mean, being on time is technically late. You should always be 10 minutes early to everything. So, and ready, camera ready. Then I would say, what are we looking for most in a girl? Well, we're looking for a girl that has moxie, of course. We're looking for a girl that is a leader. We're looking for a girl that is confident in her voice and what she has to say, who is passionate about social causes, who is passionate about her goals, and who has a much bigger idea that surpasses the crown, because it's not just that year as a title holder. It's, what do you want to do with that year, but what do you want to do after that year as well? So we are looking for someone who truly wants to use this opportunity to, give back to the community, to, develop herself, be proud of representing her country or her state, and, who is going to truly utilize this as a launch pad to propel her on the next level for her career. And, I'm very proud of what all of our girls that have, won the title that we've managed are doing now. It's amazing. I'm so proud of them. Fanula O'Reilly, she is the new correspondent for Mission Unstoppable on CBS on Saturday mornings. It's a national show in the United States with Miranda Cosgrove. She was on iCarly. Proud of obviously Grania, who was on Dancing with the Stars, Miami Swim Week. Colleen on Unito Bean, she's just starting, a coaching system in Ireland as well, which is pretty awesome. Yep. She's the first standalone coach. So I'm really excited for girls to get that opportunity with her and then come to us as well, so they're even more prepared. We just want to keep pushing them to be their absolute best selves. And so I think that's going to be great for Colleen as well. Nadia, we have so many great things that we've got in the works for her too. I'm very, very excited. I wish I could announce the one thing we're working on with her, but not yet. Very soon, hopefully. Very soon. But, she's passionate with mental health, and it's so important right now with this pandemic. Everyone, I think, is, at some point this year or whatnot, we have to be mindful of our mental health and take care of ourselves. And what Nadia does it really is so fascinating to me, the charity that she works for, and how, she specifically teaches children how to manage their emotions through superheroes, which I think is just the coolest concept. So I'm very, very proud about what all of our girls are doing. Also, I have to say, our Miss Indiana USA girl, she also launched a podcast called Empower Her. And so you can follow her as well. She interviews women that are breaking social stereotypes. So I'm just so proud of all of the girls and what they're doing. That's what we look for.
Well, that's amazing.
Sorry, that was very long.
Well, no. I mean, you expounded on it, but I mean, we get the core of it. I think at the end of it, it's not complicated. It is super important, though. I just want to ask you about girls finding their voice. And in this state, it's kind of struck me that it's very, very hostile at times. There's people on one side, and they're fighting the people on the other side, and they're just going at it. They're not having a reasonable conversation. They're just hating on each other. And we've seen, unfortunately, some violence and death around that this year. If there's a girl who wants to say something, but she's worried that she's going to be attacked on social media, if not in person. And I've had that experience where if you're kind of the person in the middle, the reasonable person, you kind of get attacked by both sides. Or if you actually agree with one side or the other, or your opinion is a bit controversial, they're very afraid to say it because they believe that as a pageant queen, they mustn't court controversy, but I found then they can't say anything. Do you have any advice for girls struggling with that?
This is a great question, and I think that this is an ongoing conversation. I don't think there's any right or wrong answer for this. And also, even if you don't say anything, some of those girls are even attacked as well. If you don't even
Exactly
at all, I think that it is so important to have a strong sense of self and to know that your voice matters. Everyone is going to have a different opinion, and you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Not everyone is going to agree with you. And we have to learn to respect that people have their own beliefs, have their own opinions. And, we're all different. And so, but you have to be confident in your own voice. And if you feel compelled to speak out about something, then I think you should. There's a way to do it where there is an art to communication. And when I coach my girls, I say there's a way to do it where you can, not offend people that have differing views. And if you really develop your communication skills, there is a way, to communicate a different idea than what someone's opinion may be. And maybe they don't agree with you, but they will respect you.
Yeah. I just wanted to touch on that because I think it's super important because a lot of young girls, young women look up to pageant queens to be an example. And I think a lot of people need guidance at the moment in some of these sort of more controversial issues in terms of racism, sexism, gay rights, et cetera, et cetera. They're looking to the queens to set an example. So they can't say nothing because, as you said, saying nothing is in itself an example or lack thereof. But sometimes I can understand it's very difficult to say something because there's that danger of being attacked.
Yeah, and it is fearful. But when it comes to being attacked online, I mean, we have to report that. You can block them. There's steps and measures that you can take. I think that there definitely needs to be more enforcement with online bullying. But thankfully, most social media apps do have steps to take for that. And so I think it's important to, if you are starting to be attacked, do not engage with that. It's not really going to go anywhere, and it's best to just shut it off and shut it down. Express your opinion, and then that's all you can do. And it is water off a duck's back because you cannot please everyone. Not everyone is going to agree with you all the time. It's just the way it is. But you really express, if you can really express your opinions, you never know. Someone may have a change of heart. So, speak, use your voice. You have it for a reason.
I'm imagining you've been criticized in the past. I mean, you're human, we all have, and people have said some hateful things. Has it always been, you said water off a duck's back, has that always been the case for you where you've had criticism and it's just like, I'm moving on? Or younger, earlier days? So how did you develop the water off the duck's back without becoming completely closed off to everyone?
Well, I am human. It is an ongoing challenge. I still have to check myself. I still have to check in with myself. When something is hurtful that is said to me, I still have to check in with myself and say, you know what? That is their opinion. Their opinion does not define reality. That is not, just because that's their opinion, it doesn't mean that's the truth. And reminding myself of my worth. And that is something I think that is so important for all of us to learn how to do. Like I said, I know I've mentioned it a few times now, I went through a lot of adversity as a kid. Part of it was extreme bullying when I was in public school before I started homeschooling. And I had to learn how to give myself pep talks. One of the biggest things that I've learned is you have to connect to your inner child. And if you can learn how to parent your inner child, this is a little like therapy. That's a little, that's more on the therapy realm, but it works. Yeah. It's true. If you can connect to your inner child and you can learn how to parent your inner child and talk to them in a loving and caring way, and, talk to yourself like someone you love, That's the best advice. And just remind yourself, you are worthy. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of respect. And you are worthy of achieving all of your dreams. And you can, with hard work and self-belief and determination, and knowing that goal, just because you may not have it yet, it is coming, and truly believing that and working towards that. And I always say, use the haters as fuel. I love to prove a hater wrong. The best revenge is success, So
I love that one.
The best revenge is success. So I think that we can turn our defeats, we can turn our failures into lessons, and the greatest lessons, and applying that to our lives to achieve that success.
Brittany, do you have any sort of daily rituals or daily practices to help with the self-worth? Is it affirmations?
Absolutely.
Is it visualizations? I'm imagining you don't just leave it up to happenstance. How do you get yourself ready for the day?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you asked that. I think it's, like I said, I just think it's so important right now to, do self-care. Everyone should be doing it right now with the world that we're living in, and, with the pandemic, and with all the negative news we're seeing every day. And, so I think it's really important to take care of your mind, take care of your thoughts become your feelings become your behavior, it creates your world. And so every single day I wake up, I meditate. I use this app called Shine, the Shine app. I love it.
Okay.
They have daily meditations. They have daily check-ins for gratitude. So I write my gratitude in there. And they have journaling prompts for self, reflection. And then they have like blogs and articles, and you can even create goals if you want to focus on something like overcoming anxiety or, overcoming or creating more self-resiliency. And you can create these milestones, these goals through the app. And so I do that every single morning. And then at night, every single morning I do that. I try to do physical activity in the week, like tennis or yoga, or dance. I haven't been doing dance lately, but it is something I want to get back into for 2021. I like to switch out different activities. It's important to keep your body physical, moving. But at night, my daily ritual at night then is affirmations. So, those affirmations and speaking down to myself. So it's still a type of meditation, but it's more of self affirmations and positivity, feeding the soul, I like to say.
I love it, because exactly as you said, I mean, there's a lot of negativity at the moment, and because so many of us have been locked inside, it's very easy to sort of let the negativity slip in. So that's why I wanted to ask you that question.
It is. It's very, very hard right now for a lot of people. And so anyone who's watching, go download that app. It really is.
Yeah, I want to have a look.
There's a lot of great apps out there. I like Calm as well. I love Aloe Yoga. They have a lot of great meditations and yoga and stuff that you can do at home as well. But I would say the Shine app really helped me, just focus on gratitude, what I'm grateful for, creating that positive intention in the morning, and then, falling asleep to, my self-worth and affirmations. So go download it, everybody. It's an amazing app.
Sounds perfect to me. I'm going to download it as soon as we're done here. Brittany, speaking of, let's move towards the close. Just before we do the final 10 questions, I'd like to give you a chance to do any shout outs. So any shout outs or thank yous to give to people who've supported you along your journey, pageant and otherwise?
Oh my gosh, there are so many people. How do I mention everyone? Well, I have to absolutely mention, Stephen Patch. He actually had the idea for us to acquire the rights to Miss Universe Ireland, which really started this whole journey for Moxie and our team. So I am just forever grateful for that opportunity that was created, and his belief in that. I'm so, so, so grateful for Jay Scott, Reed, who is our producer, who has been my mentor and absolute best friend. Whitney Green, she helps us with fashion and styling side of things. Vanessa Bartlett, she is our in-house photographer. There are so many people, all of our sponsors in Ireland, Dungeon Cosmetic Products, 01, Makeup Forever. I mean, there are so many people. Oh my goodness. There's so many people. I know there's so many people that I'm not mentioning, but please, you all know who you are. I love you all so much. Thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart for your support, your belief in Moxie and what Moxie does for young women. Thank you.
The shout outs is difficult for most people, but I think for someone in the position such as yourself, it's probably bordering on impossible. So that's why I said
there are so many people through the years. I mean, so many, but yes.
Well, it's as I say, it takes a village. It takes a village. So, Brittany,
it really does.
Final 10 questions. I finish every interview with these. It's not a speed round. If you want to go through it as quickly as you can, then by all means go for it. So, final 10 questions. Number 1, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word? Well, I can't say, can I say Moxie? I mean, obviously.
I was going to say, yeah. As soon as I asked the question, I was like, I bet it's going to be Moxie. So that makes sense. Question 2, what is your least favorite word?
Oh, my least favorite word would be... Oh my gosh, this is hard. Beans, because I hate beans. I hate beans. So anything to do with beans, yeah. like
okay.
refried beans specifically. I like green beans, but not refried beans.
Okay. All right, dear me. Choking on myself here. Question 3, in life, what gets you excited or what turns you on?
Oh my gosh. I know it sounds so cliche, but I really just love seeing women becoming their best selves. I really love seeing that development and them achieving their dreams. I love that. I love that. I love sunshine. I love being outside in the warm weather. Yeah, those things get me really excited. Being on the water. Yeah, I'm living in Florida now. I love it so much. I'm so happy there, and yeah.
I was going to say, you don't get a lot of sunshine and warm weather in Ireland.
No,
it's not known for that.
It's a good balance, I mean, I can't wait till the world opens up because it is a good balance. Because then when it gets too hot in Florida, it's nice to be able to go to Ireland to, have an Irish
cool
summer
off.
rather. Because the summers in Florida are, oh my gosh, they are insane. The humidity, and it's very, very hot.
I've heard. Yeah, I have a friend who lives in Florida, and even during the winter, some of the temperatures are like, oh, that doesn't sound like a winter to me. So I completely understand. So question 3 was what turns you on. Question 4 is what turns you off.
What turns me on? Like romantically?
No, what turns you off? No. We've done the what turns you on, what gets you excited. This question is what turns you off.
Turn-offs. I would say rude people, big egos, people who are not grateful. Those things are big turnoffs. Not, I think that gratitude is so important, and it's something we should all be practicing, I think, daily. So, I think that people that don't respect other people, are big turnoffs, So, that's tough. I mean, times right now with what the world is going through, angry people, hateful people, those kind of things. I think that we need to learn to respect each other, and that we're all different. We all have different opinions. And so, I mean, everyone has their own rights. And so respect that.
Absolutely. Question 5. What sound or noise do you love?
What sound or noise do I love? What sound or noise do I love? But these are really tough questions. They're fun. They're silly questions, but oh my gosh, they're really putting me on the spot. Yeah.
Now you know what I put the girls through.
I know, right? But like, this is usually, I know it's funny because usually and if I was on the other side, I would be like, you have to just have an answer. You have to just go. So now it's funny that I'm in the hot seat. I'm in the hot seat now. My favorite sound, I would say the dinging of the microwave, because I know I'm getting a real good snack.
That's not the first. I've done so many of these interviews. That's not the first time I've heard that.
Oh,
Something
really?
to do with food. Food comes up in every pageant interview. I normally ask people what their favorite food is. And pageant girls cannot talk about food. Like, they cannot not talk about food.
How can you
All
not?
right. I know. Question 6. What sound or noise do you hate?
Oh my gosh, what sound or noise do I hate? I hate like nails on a chalkboard, those screeching sounds, or when the TV is not fully turned off and you can hear that static. I can hear that. I know some people can't hear that, but I can always hear it if a TV is not turned off, and I can hear it. It gives me a bit of a headache.
Did you know that men lose the upper range of hearing earlier on than women do?
No, I did not know that.
So I'll just tell you this, because I have very sensitive hearing. I'm a musician, and I was sitting in front of the computer editing, and I could hear a high-pitched whine, and I could actually see the sound wave on my video editing software. And I was asking my friend next to me, he's like, "You can't hear that?" Literally, he could not hear it. At a certain frequency, they stopped being able to hear. So I was getting a headache. He couldn't hear it at all. So there's a good chance you can actually hear something that other people can't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is insane. I did not
Let's
know
go
that.
Let's go to question 7. If you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
To fly. I want to fly. I think that my spirit animal is probably a bird or something, because yeah, I would love to fly, or to, be able to teleport myself anywhere at any given time. I love traveling. And so if I could just, snap my fingers and be there, that would be amazing. But the experience of flying and seeing the world from a whole new view, a whole new point of view, is amazing. I mean, I'll never forget what it was like to be on a plane for the first time when I was on my way to New York at 16. And, on that first flight and taking off and looking out the window and just seeing how everything was just so small below, and then coming into New York City at sunset, where all the lights were on, and it was just, my heart just stopped, and I felt so alive. And, I always felt that connection to New York since that moment, coming in and just seeing the world from a whole new point of view. I felt like anything was possible.
New York does that to you. I say that because I flew into New York at that time as well, and I come from Sydney, which is a fairly big city. But New York is something else, because everyone knows New York, and you just watch it as you come. It's something else entirely. Question 8. What job or occupation other than your own would you most like to attempt?
Oh my goodness. I always had thought about becoming a marine biologist. I love animals. I love dolphins. And I always wanted to, swim with dolphins. And when I was little, I would pretend to be a mermaid and, swim under the sea. And Ariel the Little Mermaid was my favorite cartoon. And I took some, zoology class. And so I was always very interested in that. That, or, I'm actually, I would love to be a lawyer so I could hold people accountable, for certain things as well. I took a summer course at Fordham Law School for fashion law. It was the very first fashion law course in the world. And I was part of the first class of that. And it was just fascinating. And so I think, the whole idea of protecting people and, protecting people's rights is, very interesting to me. And I'm also passionate about, so.
Question 9. What job would you definitely not like to attempt?
Oh my gosh. A job that I definitely would not like to attempt would be probably plumbing, a plumber. Can you imagine?
Why does everyone say that?
Everyone says that, really?
Or
Really?
the 50 to 60%, I would say, with this question, the answer is something to do with plumbing or cleaning. They don't want to be a janitor. They don't want to be a garbage man. It's always...
Garbage men make really good money from what I understand, actually. So, yeah.
They really do.
And if you are in general waste, there's also a lot of great money in that, because, you never run out of stuff to...
No.
That never stops. So, but
Exactly.
I say, I think, plumbing, toilets, anything with toilets.
Have you tried it ever before and it went horribly wrong, or you're not even going to attempt?
No. I don't know anything about plumbing. No way.
Dear me. All right. So, final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I would like to hear him say, Brittany, I am so proud of you. I know you did the absolute best that you could. You fought through every obstacle. You gave your heart and soul to everything. And I forgive you for your mistakes. And I am absolutely so proud of you. And I love you. And here's a beautiful cloud that you can graze on for the rest of eternity. With endless ice cream.
That's a lovely answer. Well, Brittany, that's about it. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I truly appreciate it. Thank you, everyone who is watching. Be sure to, visit us. Visit me on Instagram at Brittany Mason Official. And you can also follow our Miss Indiana USA, Miss Indiana Teen USA, and Miss Universe Ireland all on Instagram. And I can't wait to have a great year. 2021, we will see you soon. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
Perfect. Anytime. It was great getting a chance to chat to you. I'll keep you on the line for just a second whilst I hang up with the audience. Thanks, guys, for watching and putting in the comments, whether it's live or on the replay. And we will speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Remember, Confessions is out. To get your copy from Amazon, head to shaw.b/confessionsbook. And I'll see you next time.